AudioJungle.
Hello and welcome to Is This AI? That is the question. My name is Oliver Veysey. I'm a writer, filmmaker and content strategist. I'm also the co-chair of the British Interactive Media Association's AI Council. Is This AI is our new space where we humans on the BIMA AI Council aim to bring you a handful of myth-busting insights, a few practical ideas to take home, and if we're lucky, some glimpses of the future based on what we are learning about AI each month in our respective fields. I'm joined by three excellent minds, nothing artificial about them, and I'm going to invite each of you to introduce yourselves, starting with my co-chair of the AI Council, Lisa Talia.
Thanks, Ollie. Hi, everyone. I'm Talia Moretti, and I'm a digital sociologist, and I help organizations navigate the social and business risks and opportunity of AI. And I'm going to hand over to Tom.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tom Good. I am a design leader working in the UX design and experience creation space, very much focused on agency work.
Thank you, Tom. Hello, everyone. I'm Prateek Jain. I lead solution strategy and consulting in Excellent. Part of my job is to build the digital experiences and consult customer to really tell them, right, is this AI and is this how you implement it, or what are the other solutions that you can build with AI? But that's the part of my job.
Excellent. So we have hopefully a pretty well-qualified group to share some ideas today, but we have to move fast or we will lose people if we haven't already. So let's get to it. Each one of these sessions is going to kick off with a provocation or a thought that one of us has gathered in the wild. Tom, I think this might have been yours, but it certainly sparked a lot of debate when it first came through to the group. Agencies have 18 months to live. Wow, that is a bleak opener. Stay with us. I know that I and a couple of others in this group have experienced major disruption at our agencies in recent months, and it's happening across the creative and tech sectors. It's by no means all down to AI, but there is a lot of anxiety and change out there. And so I wanted to ask each of you, starting with you, Lisa Talia, how do you respond? What comes to mind? What are you seeing in the agency client relationship and landscape, and for practitioners? What do you think about this?
So I'd like to just open by saying that I really hope that the agency doesn't have 18 months to live, because I think agencies, when they are run, when they run effectively and efficiently, they are very efficient and very productive playgrounds. And they are, great spaces within our technology and creative communities that house a lot of really creative minds. And it's very often in these places where curiosity and a great brief meet and great ideas can come and happen. I think the other thing that an agency really can offer to an organization is diversity of thought and really breaking down those very kind of structured ways of thinking that can solidify within an organization and leave people blinded to opportunities and blinded to new and different ways of working. So I'm going to say, I hope not, but I think it's tough out there in agencies. And I think within organizations as well as agencies, people are finding it very difficult to know how to make sense of the current landscape. There's a lot of very competing narratives and headlines that kind of come out over and over again. AI is either going to make us all productive or we're going to lose our jobs. And, it's up to us to be able to try to make sense of the gray space in between those two competing narratives. Putting these tools into practice is difficult. It's a real challenge. And I think everyone is really struggling at the moment with trying to figure that out and trying to figure out what creative practice with AI looks like. So yeah, that's my response to that big provocation.
Hopeful, but realistic. Thank you. And Prateek, how about you?
Yeah, sure. I think it's tough out there, right? I agree with Lisa over there, right? I recently came across this article or a post which said that AI is becoming a competitor to agencies' business model. And I could not relate more. It's actually changing the way the agencies have been operating for so long, right? I mean, so long for all around us, agencies like us, or for most of everyone out there, right? We have been billing customer by efforts an hour, and AI is impacting that at a very fast pace, and it's going to impact it further. So it's kind of changing it all the way how we interact or work with the customers. And it's clear that those traditional models are not going to work, bringing the value-based pricing and all that sort of thing. But that's maybe for another episode. Maybe we can have another episode recording on the value-based pricing as such, right? But I guess I want to stress more upon the client and the agency relationship, right? I mean, if you look at it, right, agency client relationship has never been only about the output, right? Sure, every agency delivers the output for the customers and all, right? But the client doesn't work with agency only because you produce outputs. They want to be heard. They want to be understood. Client won't buy based on just a DAC prepared by the AI. They just want to work with the human that they trust, who can understand them, who can hear them. Just like how patients are not going to stop going to doctor, right? Just because AI can diagnose symptoms, right? So I believe this client agency relationship has more meaning to it. And the agencies who are able to strengthen this thing, right? I mean, the agencies who leverage AI, by all means, I'm all optimistic about using AI, leveraging as much as possible, obviously being responsible with the AI usage. But at the same time, if agencies don't use it, I think they are at the risk, but agencies have to learn at the same time, build a strengthening or rather strengthen the relationship, become that trusted advisor to the customer. So those agencies who are able to do that, the people or the humans who are able to do that are going to stay. So that's what I think about like how client agency relationship is going to be there.
Thank you. Finding that value and having the impact. Tom?
Yeah, I mean, just to build on what Prateek was saying a little bit there, I definitely think the abundance of AI now is really driving speed and efficiency improvements in obviously how everyone works. So that goes for agencies, but also in-house teams as well. And I think that shift in, or maybe the perception shift in, we can do more now with less, we can do things quicker, we can do things more efficiently, is really going to change maybe that relationship as well between clients and agencies. I think we used to bill for our time. We'd have a day rate, or we'd have this many hours to complete a project. But in a future where everyone's perception is that should be decreasing very quickly, agencies obviously are struggling to have that mentality of, this is how we're going to charge for our work now. How do we charge for work? Is it based on value or output, or some other form of cost model, which I think is yet to be really well understood by everyone. And in that sense, I think clients are potentially going to be less willing, less actively engaging with projects they feel maybe is not of the value they're looking for, especially when the current world is budgets are tight and everything. And maybe more keen to bring that speed and efficiency in-house as well, because what I see is, everyone's super excited about AI. Everyone wants to do the next project. It is a buzzword for a lot of people, but also the buzzword is exciting and everyone wants to work on those projects. Coming then to an agency and saying, we want to do something in AI. I think there's also a challenge there for agencies to be the experts that we're typically seen as in that space, and to upskill and to play catch up. Maybe we haven't got there fast enough as well. Maybe agencies are not feeling the confidence in the typical skills and things they offer. So at the same time, there's this drive for speed and efficiency, but also this drive for knowledge. And maybe they're both very different ways of working for agencies compared to what we're very familiar with.
Yeah, I think you make such a good point. All of you, just to pick up Tom, it's changing, and some of the change is painful, isn't it? And I think what I also heard is like we have to take responsibility as agency practitioners and experts to provide that. Are we really pushing forward with our own R&D, upskilling, figuring out how to make these tools useful? Because as a writer, this feels personal. A lot of this feels personal, and to the writing community, it's like we're the first to go, and I have absolute confidence, but also I'm gathering objective evidence that human first and last writing, yes, with AI tools in the right moment in the process, but human first and last will best serve clients and their customers and engagement in the long run. But we have to convince clients. It's very well for us as practitioners to sit around and say, we're too good to be expendable, but we have to convince clients of that value with objective measures. So yeah, it's on us to get out and get to upskill. On that, I just want to briefly touch on what you folks think of the UK government's attempts to upskill the workforce. They've stated that they want by 2035 to upskill a fifth of the workforce with the AI Skills Hub. Have any of you caught any of this? Are you convinced by it? Lisa, Talia, where do you think it takes us?
So I think when we talk about skills, one of the things that we need to be really mindful of is that skills will constantly be changing and adapting. So my kind of first response to it, all my first thoughts around it was, what kind of skills framework are we going to create, and who's going to be responsible for updating that skills framework and continuing to develop that, right? There's also, when we think about skills, is you don't just become an expert in a skill, right? There's levels of expertise. And so we need to also be thinking about, how are we assessing skills to certain levels of expertise, and where do we feel that people need to be on a spectrum or a level, etc., from, novice all the way up to expert. And and I think, another thing for us to think about is we mustn't forget that it's not only skills that need to be updated in the workplace. We also need to think about helping people reimagine what AI looks like in the workplace, help people reimagine what the workplace looks like, because, you can have all the skills you want and be as expert as you need in that. But if the workplace hasn't changed to provide you with an opportunity to use those skills in a new way, then that is kind of pointless. So there's that. And lastly, I think there needs to be consideration about how skills are complementing new attitudes as well as new knowledge with this kind of new technology, right? So it's not just about like knowing how to use a tool and how that tool kind of relates to a skill, like, collaborating with AI or co-writing something with AI, but it's also about the knowledge that needs to come with that, right? So the knowledge that how an LLM works, and therefore why you need to check the outputs of the LLM, as well as things that relate to attitudes around it. So you're thinking about, considering things around critical thinking, thinking about lifelong learning, thinking about emotional resilience, because it's going to be a lot of like emotional turmoil in the workplace. Sorry, that was a really long answer, but I just wanted to complete in how I responded.
Thank you for not cutting it short. Prateek, what are you making of this?
Yeah, so I think it's different that all agencies or people who work at these agencies have to upskill themselves, not only about the tools or the technology behind it, but it's also important to first have the right mindset. I come from an engineering background, so I would rather go in the engineering direction, not necessarily so much in the creative, but I believe that a lot of the same principles apply when we're talking about AI in this context. There was this engineer in our team who was like trying out different tools to improve the code, write the code, and these were essentially the coding assistants, right? And one of the feedback that came out of it, apart from evaluating the tool, so the exercise was to evaluate which tool is better, which LLM or code assistance is better. One of the feedback was like, hey, reliance on these tools can affect the critical thinking. And I was like, sure, yes. I mean, I think it's a very important learning recognition, or rather that everyone should have, that we should not over rely upon it, so that be critical about it as well. So learning the skill is important, but the mindset shift is probably the first. But with these tools that are out there and all, right? I mean, now an engineer can do the prototyping, be it building the UI, right? And I'm talking about the pro. Can they build a great UI UX without that skill? Probably no, but then they can still do the prototype. So the way I see it is more like having that skill to adopt the tools, to be able to go one step further, not restricting yourself to what you were doing. To your point, Ollie, earlier, where you talk about the copywriting, right? We use a lot of automations, custom GPTs to do the copywriting content, right? But I think one thing that AI cannot replace is your line of thought. What is your line of thought, right? And then where it can assist is probably where copywriters maybe spending a lot of time is doing research, right? AI is great as going out and doing research and then collecting that collateral for you, right? I mean, the deep research mode. Right, in 15 minutes, it can look at like hundreds of websites and then bring back that intelligence. So a copywriter who actually leverages that, but still applies themselves is going nowhere. And they are here to stay. And then probably with like more superpowers with them, I think they're set for a better outcome going forward.
Thank you, Prateek. I needed to hear that today. I appreciate you. The first company that I worked for was called Thinking and Wording. I like that because I've never thought, and no one who's ever been a copywriter has ever thought, that the writing was just about the words. I think copywriters are a flexible and resilient bunch, so they'll find ways to prove their value as the process changes, and the gaps, as you say, between the disciplines like overlaps and collapses. Like from you get to prototype so much faster, and you can see things, and clients can get closer to the work, and that's exciting. Tom, I'll leave you to make some final remarks, and then we should probably wrap up.
Well, I guess first of all, I think the question around upskilling and what that means, completely agree. It's upskilling in a very broad sense. It's not just learning a little bit about AI. It's got to be quite a broad change in mindset, a change in maybe how we're approaching things as well. And I think I agree with at least Talia. It's got to be constant as well. It's quite funny when starting some projects and you're getting your head into AI and how we're going to build this thing. But then by the end of that project, the technology's already evolved, it's changed, and you're constantly playing catch up, even within a single project, to try and be on top of what's happening in the world and what's changing and what it means for our projects and our clients as well. And it's constantly sort of evolving so quickly that it's really difficult, I think, to stay on top of, which is where upskilling is really important. But I think at the same time, that's where agencies are perhaps struggling as well. It's the time to commit to training. It's the time to commit to assessing new tools and to understanding what is the best approach, and sharing those with colleagues. And maybe after all this billable work and all this training and thinking time, do we actually have anything left to really evolve what we're doing and to focus on, I guess, helpful things for us as a team? And that's the challenge, really. So I think maybe the shift here is that upskilling is super important, and it's great to have funding behind that and things. But at the same time, I think the agency we're working is going to have to shift a bit and to rethink maybe how we're focusing on what we're doing. It's not all going to be project work necessarily. We're going to be experimenting, we're going to be learning, and that's going to be the new norm. It's going to have to evolve in that sense because AI is not slowing down. If anything, it's going.
Yeah, I think you put it. I think you put it brilliantly. I'm gonna just spin around and invite you to say any final thing you want to say, and to put you on the spot and ask: do you agree, yes or no, that agencies have 18 months to live? I'll go first. I think no. They will adapt and thrive. I genuinely think, and I hope I'm not just a product of my echo chamber. I think the people working in agencies, founding them, the talent within them, they're going through a painful time, but there are I see green shoots in the practice that is integrating AI tools, and I'm genuinely excited. So agencies may look different, but we're not experiencing an extinction event. How about you, LT?
Yes, I'm going to agree. And I very much hope they'll be around for very many years and decades to come. I think, like you, they will need to change, and they have to change. And to Prateek's point earlier, they will need to reimagine the value that they're bringing to that client relationship. So, and what Tom mentioned, whether that is becoming educators, right? Or being able to have a set of expertise in-house and support clients to say to them, we can show you what good looks like, right? So if you want to bring some of that practice in-house, but maybe you use us as auditors or assessors of quality. And so there's different ways that agencies will be able to leverage their exceptional talent and their expertise. And I still maintain that agencies are some of the best places in the creative and technology ecosystem, that when done right, they can be very effective, very productive playgrounds. AI is all about playing with the tools, understanding what the creative practice of those tools looks like, and knowing what good looks like. And agencies are so well suited to do that.
Thank you. Shoot us down, Prateek.
Yeah, I think, no, I agree. I couldn't agree more on that. I think agencies are here to stay. The only thing that I'll add on what Lisa said is, right, while all agencies would be focused or should be focused on embracing AI, I mean, if you don't embrace it, then good luck. But then, yeah, if you're embracing AI, you are here to stay. But at the same time, I would say that clients are feeling the same. They also don't know how to adopt AI or within their organization, their businesses, right? So I think they equally worry about it with their roles, how their organization is going to evolve as well. So I think as an agency, folks, it's our responsibility not only to train and skill or upskill our people, but also educate customers, because I've been seeing a lot of time hey, we want to use AI, but we don't know where to start. So as long as agencies do that and do that responsibly, I think both agencies and client businesses will thrive. So yes, agencies are much longer to stay.
Okay. Nice. Tom?
At the risk of sounding controversial to this group, I think there's a good chance that
we need some balance. Come on.
There's a good chance a selection of agencies will fail to exist. I'm thinking, agencies from a year, 2 years ago, the way they operate will no longer work, essentially. So the agencies of old who haven't evolved and who don't evolve will definitely die out in my mind. I think there's too much competition and there's too much to lose from not being on the AI bandwagon, to not be reaping the rewards of efficiency and speed and all those benefits, as well as new experiences and new technologies. All of those things put together mean that if you're not driving forwards and moving towards that goal, you're very quickly going to be left behind. I think that is the death of maybe the traditional agency, or how agencies have operated for some time, and the dawn of a new type of agency who does embrace this way of working and thinking. And maybe for me, that's where 18 months is a good time frame for those certain types of agencies to fade out into non-existence.
Well, thank you all very much for your time. I've set the clock. We will check back in 18 months and see how the world has evolved. It was very nice to spend some time with you humans. Prateek, Lisa, Talia, Tom, thank you.
Thank you, Ollie. Bye-bye. Ciao.
Audio Jungle.